Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about The Crow and its brand new Paramount 4K Blu-ray. But before we get into that 4K Blu-ray review, I always like to give a quick film review, and that's what we're going to do right now. So if you want to know nothing about the film, this is your warning. You can skip ahead to the 4K Blu-ray review right now. So The Crow was originally released in 1994. It is based on the 1988 James O'Barr comic, which he actually wrote after the tragic passing of his fiance, who died in a drunk driving accident. And when you watch the movie, you can actually really feel the pain of this man who would want to seek the revenge on the person who killed his fiance, the person he loves most in this world. And the person who was tapped to direct this film was Alex Proyas. And he also directed 1998's Dark City, and they have very, very similar tones to each other. And especially the world. Dark City, the whole movie takes place in a city that's in the dark. And this movie, it is never a sunny day in this city. My God, the whole movie, it's raining, it's dark outside, and it's all the better for it. This movie came out in 1994. That's why it's celebrating 30 years this year. And man, this movie does feel like a film that came out in 1994. It's very grungy, very dark, very rainy. You know, the colors themselves, just all blacks. Everyone's wearing leather, all the hairstyles and everything like that. It feels like an early 1990s film. And the movie itself captures the tone perfectly of that era. The music that's in this movie also feels very much like 1994. You know, 1994 is probably the peak of grunge music, and it was also probably the downfall of grunge music. That's the year that Kurt Cobain passed away. And you know, it felt like that was when grunge music was never bigger than it was in 1994. And as the mid to late 90s started to roll around, you know, music started to change. This movie really does capture that time in a bubble. And it's just a great film and just a great revenge tale. The movie begins on October 30th, Devil's Night, or for people like me who grew up in the 1990s, Mischief Night. If you watched Rocket Power, you know exactly what that is. And it's funny because I didn't actually see this Crow first. I actually saw the sequel first, and if you guys know Dennis, you've seen him here on the channel a few times. Me and Dennis are both big wrestling fans, and we were big fans of Sting, the wrestler, and his character is known as the Crow. He says he didn't see the Crow, and that wasn't his inspiration for the Crow character in WCW. I do not believe him at all. It clearly ripped off the Crow from this movie, and we wanted to see that movie. We're younger. I was born in 1992. Dennis was born in 1994, so we didn't come around to this movie until the early 2000s, and when we finally caught it, we watched it. I believe we rented it from Blockbuster. We rented the wrong version. We rented the sequel, and like, this is the movie that everybody loves so much? This is the inspiration for Sting? And then we realized, oh no, we're the stupid ones here. We rented the wrong movie. We went back, we rented the original Crow, and then from that point on, me personally, I have loved this movie ever since. I watch it every single year around October 30th. If I can't actually watch it on October 30th, you know, it takes place on that date 2 years in a row, because at the beginning of this movie is when we see Eric Draven and his fiance murdered by T-Bird, love the name by the way, and his gang of thugs, all working underneath Michael Wincott's character of Top Dollar.
Well, you can have it.
Michael Wincott has one of the coolest voices of all time in film history. If you guys don't know that guy's voice, if you guys saw Nope from a couple years ago, he's in that. That voice just always stands out, and I feel like that voice was also the inspiration for Austin Butler's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He sounds just like Michael Wincott in that movie. He plays Tex in that movie, and his voice just sounds like every Michael Wincott performance, and I love that.
I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business.
Because Michael Wincott's voice always stands out. He's wearing this long-haired wig in this movie. He is the perfect villain to Brandon Lee's Crow. He is the perfect antagonist because he's playing this character over the top. You know, he's chewing scenery, just like everybody is in this movie, because it can be slightly cheesy despite the fact it's a very dark movie. But then we get Brandon Lee. That's what this movie is most known for, is the tragic passing of Brandon Lee. It's really sad what happened. You know, this was just a complete and honest mistake from what it sounds like. And, you know, just also negligence. You know, they overlook something that happened. A bullet shouldn't have been in the chamber. When they loaded the gun up with blanks, you know, it still had enough force to shoot the bullet into Brandon Lee's abdomen, killing him. And unfortunately, that's what this movie is most remembered for, is the tragic passing of Brandon Lee, the son of Bruce Lee, who also died tragically at a very young age. You feel so bad for Brandon Lee's mother, the widow of Bruce Lee, and the tragedy throughout her entire life, having a husband with all the talent in the world and a son who has all the talent in the world as well. He really does a great job, Brandon Lee, carrying this movie, and a lot like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. It's just that what could have been. Like, we're seeing their best performance right as they pass away, and it's just so sad because Brandon Lee is so great in this movie. It's a revenge tale. After he comes back to life 1 year later, he's invincible. He can get his revenge. And James O'Barr says in one of the featurettes actually on the Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray is that he doesn't have to cope with what's going on. He knows right away that he's there to get his revenge and essentially close the loop. That's why he's got a crow is able to bring somebody back. They bring it up right at the beginning of the movie if they have unfinished business. It's something you see in a lot of movies. It's a movie trope at this point. You know, we bring somebody back, they complete their story, they have to get revenge on the people that caused him and his fiance's death 1 year earlier. And he's playing around with this again. He's playing it slightly over the top as well. I love Brandon Lee's performance in this movie. I love pretty much everybody's performance in this movie. I mean, we even get David Patrick Kelly in here, and he's always good in these kinds of roles. Tony Todd. So there's so many other great actors in supporting roles, and one person who deserves a lot more credit throughout their entire career is Ernie Hudson. If you only know the guy for Ghostbusters, he is a fantastic actor. You should watch movies like this, The Basketball Diaries, and even the show Oz. He is always good, Ernie Hudson, and he's just got great acting chops. He commands a scene. You know it's Ernie Hudson, but he's still there just always doing a great job, and Ernie Hudson is fantastic in this movie. He plays a cop. You know, he's the one who's really figuring out what's going on, and he also doesn't take a lot of time to believe what's going on as well, you know, because he's pretty much seen it all. This city needs somebody to save the day. They do need a vigilante, and you know, he is a superhero. This is definitely a superhero film, one of the best ever, in fact, and it doesn't have the big name behind it. It just has this one Crow comic written, you know, an independent comic written by James O'Barr, and it just led to a fantastic film that will get a remake this year after 30 years. You know, this remake has been in development hell for so long. I remember when Jason Momoa was attached to it. Now it's Bill Skarsgård is going to be playing the lead character of the Crow. From what I've seen, it doesn't look great, but you know what? We've only seen a trailer and some pictures. I'm still holding out hope. I hope this movie does actually still turn out to be fantastic, because a lot of people have been waiting for this remake to come along for a very long time, because those sequels that came out are all pretty god-awful and don't even compare to the original Crow. So hopefully we get something that is at least worthy of the original Crow. And if you are a big fan of the original Crow from 1994, we're also here today to talk about the 4K Blu-ray, and that's what we're going to do right now. So I got The Crow here on 4K Blu-ray. I opted for the slipcover version. There was actually a couple exclusive steelbooks out there, and also there was a regular steelbook version. All of them actually look better than this slipcover version, but I wanted to make sure I got it on the day of release. So, you know, Amazon's been kind of hit or miss lately, but they did get it to me on the day it was supposed to come out, and I really do appreciate that. I got the slipcover version, but if you got that steelbook or one of the steelbooks, I definitely think you got the better end of this deal when it comes to packaging. The slipcover version is very nice, but it's right in line with pretty much every other Paramount slipcover, and honestly, this whole release is right in line with every other Paramount release, although Paramount really is probably the most inconsistent when it comes to all the major studios as far as 4K Blu-ray releases go. When it comes to Warner Brothers, even Universal, and definitely Sony, you know what kind of 4K Blu-ray you're getting just based on the fact that the studio that is releasing it. Paramount can give us some of the greatest 4K Blu-rays while also giving us some of the worst 4K Blu-rays. A lot of time they are at the mercy of the source material, but still, when everything lines up, they can give us a great 4K Blu-ray. But how is this 4K Blu-ray? And it's really funny before we go any further, because I have the previous 2012, I believe, Blu-ray that was actually released by Lionsgate, not Paramount, because Paramount was not the original studio, even though they were technically the original distributor for this movie, but they backed out in the last minute. That's why this movie was originally supposed to come out in August, I believe, of 1993, but after the tragic passing of Brandon Lee and the subject matter in the movie, they opted not to do it, and that's when Miramax picked it up and actually gave the movie $8 million more to help finish the movie and, you know, work some things out with the CGI and everything, you know, to make this movie come together, because there was 3 days left of shooting before Brandon Lee tragically passed away. So they had to finish the movie. Miramax came in, saved the day, but now Miramax is pretty much, you know, what Miramax is now. We don't need to go into that right now. Paramount is the one doing this 4K Blu-ray release. And when we slide the slipcover off, we have the same artwork underneath, and this artwork is similar to that 2012 Lionsgate Blu-ray that I have, you know, but it's much nicer, and I appreciate it. It does have one of the most iconic movie posters of all time, and it's pretty strange that that actually didn't show back up on one of these 4K Blu-ray releases. I thought it might, but it didn't, and because the previous Blu-ray releases, I didn't love the artwork. I think this is definitely a better version than that Lionsgate release, but again, the Steelbook is definitely the best of the best. And of course, it's a Paramount release, so we get one black disc on the inside. It does not come in with a pack-in Blu-ray, so that means that all of your extras are going to be on this one 4K Blu-ray. And there are some new extras when you compare it to that previously released Blu-ray that I have. And I always really appreciate that, because the previously released extras were actually really good, so Now we also get a new audio commentary track, which is also very much appreciated, but we have the previously released audio commentary track. We have all the past release featurettes, which were about 24 minutes for one thing when they put it all together, which I do really appreciate. It's almost the making of, essentially. We get the deleted scenes kind of done in a montage form, the trailers, we have all of that. All that is ported over to this, but we also get a couple new interviews, which I really do appreciate, going into the production design, which is awesome because, like I was saying, the director himself also directed Dark City, which has great and very similar production design to The Crow. The Crow just looks fantastic when it comes to just how the city itself looks. It's a character in itself. The costume design, it's always rating. Great production design for this movie, so that was a great featurette, and I really do appreciate all of the extras. Did they blow me out of the water? No, they didn't. I wanted a little bit more, but again, they gave us so much here, it's really not worth fully complaining about because it would just be me nitpicking, because honestly, they gave us so much when it comes to the extras, and I'm really appreciative of that. And then, of course, the audio. It's a DTS HD 5.1, but there are so many other audio tracks in different languages and so many different subtitle options. I always appreciate it when they give us great accessibility options so that everybody can come to this movie no matter what language they speak, and that is always awesome. So they do give us plenty of that. I obviously chose to still watch it with the DTS HD 5.1, which I believe is the exact same audio track from the previously released Lionsgate release, but don't worry about it. Yes, I would have liked the Dolby Atmos track, but this is a great audio track. I mean, you feel the thunder when it's starting to go off. It's got a lot of bass in it, mixed very well, so the dialogue is coming in crisp and clear. All the sound effects in the background are using different channels, and I really appreciate that. It definitely didn't need an upgrade. It would have been cool to definitely get one, but it did not need an upgrade. I can honestly see why. This is one of the times where I can appreciate reusing a previously released audio track, and Paramount, like I've been talking about recently, has been reusing those Dolby True HD 5.1s, which really feel very dated at this point, but a DTS HD 5.1, a looseless track like this, it still is really good, and it didn't necessarily need an upgrade, but it's just that, you know, what more could they have done? I do feel like there was obviously a little bit of room, but again, it's still a great audio track. Now, the visuals, that's what everybody wants to know about. Is it a big visual upgrade? And yes, it is. And the previously released Blu-ray, this 2012 Lionsgate Blu-ray, is actually a very good Blu-ray release. Honestly, it comes in very clear. It's actually hitting some deep blacks. It's a you know, the grain is a lot more noticeable on that Blu-ray than when we get to this 4K Blu-ray. The 4K Blu-ray definitely handles the grain a lot better, but it's not being wiped clean like we're seeing a lot lately. No, it's actually very well done the way it handles the grain. Definitely cleans that up from the previously released Blu-ray. But the big thing you're going to notice is that we're still hitting those deep blacks because we do have HDR10 and Dolby Vision, and we are still able to bring the great detail to the screen because we're keeping that film grain. We're not wiping it clean. And then the colors themselves pop off the screen. A lot of the time in this movie, you're going to see a red muscle car, and then at one point you see a candy apple red. I think it's a 5.0 Mustang. It looks beautiful, and, you know, the rain's running down the side, and you see every detail, and, you know, the lights bouncing off of it. You're like, okay, I can see that this is a semi-glossy kind of Mustang over here. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. The rain itself, you just see all the details. Anytime there's close-ups, you can see all the details on their skin, and yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the visuals. This is reference quality 4K Blu-ray for a catalog title release. You know, this is a film that was shot in 1994, 30 years later. This is exactly what you do to this kind of movie. You don't lose anything, and you are only building on the awesome foundation that you had. Obviously, this movie definitely has some good source material because, like I said, that previously released Blu-ray is very good, and this is still a huge jump forward from that. So visually, absolutely stunning. And when you combine those beautiful visuals with a great audio track, great extras, and great packaging, no matter which way you went with the packaging, obviously I went the cheapest route, but still, if you got one of those steelbooks, from what I can tell, based only on pictures and other people's videos, I can honestly tell that that is probably the best way to go. But still, no matter which way you go, great packaging. This is a phenomenal release. A lot of people have been asking for The Crow to come to 4K Blu-ray for a long time. A lot of us knew this is the kind of movie that the 4K Blu-ray format was made for, and my God, they delivered, and thank God they did. How would I rate this 4K Blu-ray on a score of 1 to 10? It's not quite a 10 out of 10, but it's almost there. This is one I'll give a 9.5 out of 10, And at the $25 price point, it is absolutely worth it for this kind of 4K Blu-ray because you're getting every single thing you could ever want with it. I know some people will be disappointed that there is no packet Blu-ray. That is starting to become the standard, honestly, especially from Paramount and Warner Brothers. They are definitely shying away from that. So unfortunately, you will not get the downscaled version of this on Blu-ray. You're only going to have it on 4K Blu-ray, and that disc will include everything. But overall, I'm sitting here very happy. But I want to know from you guys, have you seen this 4K Blu-ray yet? What do you think of it? What do you guys think of the Crow? Leave those comments in the comment section below. While you're down there, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, turn notifications on, and then after you guys are done doing all of that, maybe you want to become a channel member. We have a Friends of the Channel tier, we have a Producers tier where you're going to find John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato. We also have a Directors tier where you're going to find Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. He has a great YouTube channel as well. Make sure you guys head over there. I recently did an interview on his channel. It was great. I had an awesome time, so make sure you guys head over to him and John Doe Juggalo's channel. Subscribe to them. And if you got no money to throw our way, don't you worry about it, guys. We just hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.